Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to take a moment to go through today's lecture with you in case we're unable to attend the Zoom meeting. Today I'm going to be talking about the world in 1750, how it's organized, and the information that you need to know in order to understand the concepts that we're going to be talking about in this unit. So we begin in the world 1750 because it's at this time that the old traditions of the world begin to change as science and logic and reason begin to take over. The church is losing power, the monarchs are losing power, and there's a greater demand of the citizens for a change in the way society is structured. The people want more opportunity, they want more equality. Right. So in this time period, prior to this time period, there were several forms of government that were in practice. Absolute monarchies, constitutional monarchies. In some places of the world, democracy was beginning to show up. Oligarchies, which still exist today, and theocracies. And I will go through each of these with you briefly. So an absolute monarchy, as you saw in the previous video that we shared, is where one person, a king or a queen, rules with unlimited power. They inherit their throne, and much of their power comes from the belief that God made them king or queen, that they were special people born with this special privilege in order to care for those beneath them. As the church rose in power, the church tended to support this because it was the church that led or advised the kings and queens. They were the ones who educated them when they were small children. And so the power structure between the church and the crown became very interwoven. And as a result of this, it was in the church's best interest and the king's best interest to keep the commoners loyal to both. So priests would preach that to defy the king is to defy God, and kings would show their devotion to the church by appointing church officials into positions of power and deferring to the church as a power in itself. A constitutional monarchy takes the ideas of a monarchy, of an inherited throne, but adds a human element. It allows the commoners a voice. Typically, there is a body of government made to advise the king. Usually they call it a parliament or some name like that. There's different names throughout the history, Duma in Russia and so on. So there's different names for it. But the idea is that the kings or queens don't have unlimited power anymore. They agree to share some of their power with the commoners using some sort of elected or appointed officials that we usually refer to as a parliament. Democracy is a system of government in which the people have a greater voice. They choose the leaders. There's different types of democracy. If you remember Greeks and Romans, we discussed different, or in world history in 7th grade, they discussed different types of democracy. But democracy just simply refers to the fact that citizens have a voice in government. They are able to create or elect people that will represent them and their desires. So it's not just the king, it's a representation of multiple people elected. Okay, oligarchy is the next one. And oligarchy simply refers to a government in which the rich or a group of elites hold most of the power. They hold this power because of the amount of wealth they have. Typically, they are titled. They might be nobility. They might be friends and boyhood or childhood companions of the king or queen, but they always have a tremendous amount of wealth. Many people would say that today America is ruled by an oligarchy because the rich hold so much power and control over our government. That is not a wrong statement. It is not a completely true statement either. Because of our system of democracy, the citizens do have a greater voice than in other countries, but there is, in fact, a smaller group of people who wield much more power than the common citizen. And then finally, there's theocracy. Theocracy is not something that America has dealt with, mainly because our Constitution specifically creates a separation of church and state. That was done to prevent a power struggle between the church and government, which occurred just like what occurred in Europe prior to the founding of the United States. But in parts of Europe, especially around 1750, the Catholic Church, which was the dominant Christian church at the time, held a lot of power, both political and economic. And in fact, the Pope had the power to appoint or de-appoint kings and queens. Most kings and queens of England or Europe, had to receive their crown from the church before they would be considered valid leaders. And this again ties back into that idea of divine right of kings, because if the church is blessing them and showing, see, God did choose this person, therefore they have the authority. But theocracies do still exist today. When you go throughout parts of the Middle East, Southeast and Southwest Asia, there are places where there are Islamic nations where they follow Islamic law as their governmental structure. There are places like Jerusalem where Jewish leadership, Judaism, is the reigning power. Even though they are a democracy, the fact that it is a land that was established for Jewish survivors of the Holocaust and their descendants, Judaism plays a huge role in how their government is run. So we do still have theocracies around the world, but in most cases around the world, even though we do have monarchs, even though we do have democracy, even though we do have theocracy and oligarchy, most countries around the world have developed kind of some sort of combination system in which the people have some voice, either constitutional monarchies or some form of democracy. There are a few places around the world where the leaders have absolute power. Think North Korea, for example. But by and large, those are not the norm anymore. But prior to 1750, that was the social structure. You were either born into the elite social class or the king and queen, or you were a commoner and had no rights. And so 1750 is a time when we see a change occurring, where the people are beginning to demand more support, demand more from their government, and a greater voice.